You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, professional speaker, and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we're bringing some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today's no different. Heck, who am I kidding? Today's a different day. It's a special occasion. It's a hashtag chocolate invasion. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks to the wonderful LaRonda Giddens, I've been hooked up with one heck of a powerhouse helping ladies to find their inner Wonder Woman. Because this lady right here, the founder of Positive Identity that inspires and equips women to own their greatness in their careers, relationships, and everyday lives. This fabulous lady right here is a marketing leader who's driven strategy for global Fortune 100 and 500 brands that knows the power of using your unique voice to succeed. And not only that, she teaches women how to do it without hesitation. So my goodness, no hesitation, y'all. Gotta love that. And to add even more cherries to this wonderful cupcake, as a contributing writer for Thrive Global and an author of numerous guides, she also includes 6 steps to negotiate your salary, as well as many other things. And she's joining the business of immortality in late September with her super fabulous book called You're Absolutely Worth It, Release Self-Doubt, Embrace Confidence, and Own Your Yes. So let's give it up for the wonderful VW herself, Ms. Velera Wilson. How you doing today, ma'am?
That was a fantastic introduction. I am doing wonderful. How are you today?
Doing fabulous. I hear you hail from the land of peaches, Atlanta, Georgia. Is that still true?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia. That is correct.
All righty, Georgia. That's right. Go Bulldogs if you're a Bulldogs fan.
You know what? I'm from Southern California, so I have no affiliations and loyalties to either.
So Cali swag and Georgia peaches. All right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Well, as with all introductions, there's always some back of the resume stuff that folks always forget. So mind filling us in on any cavities about the victorious Velera?
So yes, I think you mentioned I've had the fortunate opportunities to lead at global companies and have enjoyed my career as a marketing leader, driving strategy and results. And so it's really evolved into an opportunity for me to really share with other women the importance of confidence and showing up with that in what you do, not just in your career, but in your relationships and everyday life, in order to really lead. And a lot of that came from my own evolution and growth as a woman in corporate, being the first in my family to graduate college and to really navigate the landscape of, corporate America, making the connections, owning my voice. All those things were things I had to learn. And so it's really etched in me a passion to help other women, even if they weren't the first in their family, right? But for whatever reason, just don't own their voice and really haven't really figured out exactly how to command their worth for whatever reason. And I've had the fortune of being able to be around, female founders, corporate execs, college graduates, all women. And oftentimes I've heard a similar challenge or underlying question. And that question typically is, am I enough? And so my desire and passion is to help women to see that they actually and in fact are enough, and that they have a responsibility to ask for what they are worth.
Yes, indeed. Amen to that. And it's funny how that's so needed still nowadays, because women are out there killing it. Like, a lot of entrepreneurs are women these days, and they are killing the game out there.
A lot of them are. And a lot of us struggle too, right? In the same breath, right? That for as many as us are leading the pack, there are many of us who are still struggling to really find our footing, find our voice. I get the direct messages, I get the texts from people that, that I've coached or that might be reading an advanced copy of the book and, get that feedback that, yeah, I struggle with this. Or when I'm on webinars or panel discussions and sharing my experiences and hearing so many women say, yeah, I've been there or I am there. So I think there's so much that we talk about from a success perspective for women. And yes, we have come a long way as women in terms of, from women's rights to, the opportunity to vote. But then you put another layer to that for women of color. That's a little more recent for us to get that. And there's still wage gaps and pay gaps and, gaps in representation and leadership. And the list goes on and on. So there's still some work to be done, both institutionally, but also within ourselves as women to really see who we are and what we bring and really demand that we're provided those opportunities and provide those opportunities for ourselves.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that's a great work. And it's really amazing how it's still out there, that whole self-doubt sort of thing. So from all of your experiences thus far, what do you think is the major, I guess, limiting belief that ladies come to you for advice for?
The biggest thing is, can I do it? Can I really ask for that? There's almost this perception of, am I being too greedy? Am I really capable of doing that? What will they say if I ask? What if the answer is no? And it's that swirling self-doubt before you even put yourself out there to ask or to go after. And it's unfortunate because we short circuit ourselves in the process before we can even get to the thing that we really want. I'm sure you've heard the stat, or maybe some of your listeners may have heard the stat. We're talking about how women need to be almost 100% of what the job description says before they'll apply. And there's just that need sometimes to feel almost perfect or be perfect in order to raise our hands to ask for something. And it's definitely, it can limit our advancement. It can limit our growth. It can limit our earning potential. It can limit the quality of our relationships when we can't ask for what we want or need. And so it's just so important to look at inward first and say, what is it that I really need? What is it that I really want? And what's really stopping me from going after that?
Yeah. And this ain't the time to be letting roadblocks stop you. This is definitely not the time for that.
No roadblocks stopping us.
And what's fabulous about the fact that you're helping women get past that self-limiting belief of perfection, and heck, even some guys too even deal with the fact of, hey, you know what, maybe I should go for this fully thing, make sure it's perfect with the cherry on top. And it's like, you know what, forget it, forget perfection, because it doesn't exist. And heck, that even leads folks to procrastinating on really embracing their dreams. So what's really helped you to really get that self-confidence to really move forward, even though things aren't always going to be perfect?
Question, and I love what you just said, is that the perfection is dangerous. I say it's dangerous because it's not reality. It's elusive, and it absolutely does cause us to procrastinate, make excuses that we wrap around and call them reasons, and instead of calling what it is. And so for me, I think the biggest thing is I just had to come to a place is I would rather ask and find out that it's not possible than to live with the regret of never asking and wondering what if, or living with or finding out later that I could have had something all along, but I was living beneath or shortchange my own self. I mean, just that thought alone is just like, wait a minute, I can't do that to me. I need to ask. I need to know. I need to ask, and then you tell me no, and then I'll figure out how to get to the yes. Because one person's no doesn't mean that the no is going to be forever. It means that your answer is no, but somebody else may have a yes. So I just had to come to the realization that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do whatever I do scared, right? Because sometimes I think we feel like the fear means that it's a fact that I shouldn't do it, as opposed to using fear as the indicator that this just means it's something that I've not done before, that takes me out my comfort zone, that requires me to stretch or to grow. It's an indicator, but it's not a fact. And so I can choose to move past that fear and still act anyway. And to your point, perfection, waiting to do something till you have it perfect means you'll never do it. So you're going to have to learn some things along the way, and to just take the journey, do what you know right now and let the rest unfold. And that's just what I've decided to do.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That Mountain Dew. That's what I'm talking about. That's right.
Mountain Dew.
Not only did she do, she did. That's what I'm talking about. Heck,
That's right.
that's right. Heck, them.
You get scared at some point.
Heck yeah, that's right. You got to sometimes just walk out with a hazmat suit, be like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. That's right. Throw the hair up in the ponytail, be like, I got this. It don't matter. That's right. Even with the cake batter, it don't matter. That's right. And left indeed. That's what I'm talking about. So helping ladies find their confidence and not waiting for that perfection. So in addition to really, I know, because I read through a couple of your articles in the past, and one of my favorite ones was where I mentioned how you actually was able to really get some mentorship from some senior level executives early. So what led you to that thought process, and what would probably be your advice to give to other folks out there, especially the ladies who are looking for mentors in their lives?
Well, I think the one thing, if you're referring to, I think it was the article I wrote for Thrive Global around, it mentioned I had a conversation with a senior VP of my business unit, and she said she wished that she had realized that it was more about relationships and just doing the work in order to advance her career. I think that might be what you're referring to, but it's true. My advice to any young woman in her career, is to develop the relationships now, and to start looking ahead, and to think about where is it that I really want to be, and start sharing that with people, both inside and outside the organization. Because so often I found, and that's actually what that senior VP leader told me, she said she just worked. She just did the work. She just did the work and thought that would get her the recognition and the promotions. But she realized she believed that she would be much further along had she realized that relationships were the key to her advancement as well. And so I would just say to a young woman, do not just put your head down and just get stuck in your cubicle or your office and not connect with people at and above your current role. Let people know where you want to go. And you might say, well, I don't really know where I want to go. So just think of something, but so you may not have it all figured out. And I think that sometimes we feel like we have to have it figured out. It's okay if you get into a role and realize that it's not exactly what you want. It can be the role that leads to the role that you do want. But if you do have an opportunity, you kind of do know where you want to go, think about that, and then start sharing that with people that you might consider mentors, or people that you might consider sponsors. And there's an importance, it's so important to get sponsors, and sponsors are more than just mentors, because mentors just give advice. They might give you some career guidance in how to navigate some things or some situations. That's fine. But you need sponsors, because sponsors are the ones who have the interest and ability to get you pushed further ahead. These are the people that can connect you to the job that you really want and can speak on your behalf when you're not in the room. So that might be a leader that's, in another business unit that might have an opportunity to come join his team. And they may say, I think she'd be a great candidate for this. But if you don't develop those relationships, that may not ever happen. So it's important to, one, think ahead, two, share inside and outside your organization what you're interested in, so you can have people looking around for you, or basically thinking of you, and you're coming top of mind for opportunities, and get a sponsor, develop that. And those are probably my three most important pieces of advice. And then the fourth one is, don't stay somewhere that's not mutually beneficial. I found that sometimes as women, we'll stay somewhere that we're not advancing, we're not getting the pay that we really want, but we'll see other people advancing, we'll see other people potentially making more. And oftentimes they may just be doing the same job, but making more. And so it's important for us to take our heads out the sand and say, okay, I've been here for X number of years. Nothing's changed. I've been promised this, not gotten it. I've gotten a $2 raise in 5 years, or whatever that might look like, or it's been minimal. I need to cast my net and see what's out there for me. I always encourage people to always check, based on their skill sets externally, what their current market value is. So that you might mean you need to go to a recruiter. I mean, those, you can find a ton of them on LinkedIn, and ask, well, what's the current range for some of my skill sets? And then find out, are you in that range? If you're not, then you might need to be moving to another organization. And don't be so tied to a company that you can't move ahead, because trust and believe, if it's time for them to let you go for business reasons or whatever reasons, they will. And you have to own your purpose, destiny, legacy, all of that. So when it's time to move, you got to move. There is no need to stick around and hope and pray that they will see your value if they haven't yet.
That's right. That's solid glow flow right there, because it's so darn true, especially businesses now during COVID. And a lot of folks have been a victim of that. It's that they've been cutting back with everything. And some folks be like, darn it, I've been working so hard here. And then they cut me. And it's like, you got to be proactive in that and preparing to making sure you move when you feel like it's time to move, as opposed to waiting for folks to really see and think that you're good enough for this position or something else. And heck, even that next level advice of really having a sponsor besides a mentor, because a sponsor, that's really even more powerful than a mentor if they speak up for you in certain situations.
Definitely. You need a sponsor to get those opportunities. I mean, I have thought there's been different times in my career where I got the job before the job was even posted because of a sponsor. Or I got the job after just having one conversation with someone because the sponsor said, no, this is the person that I want in this role. So it's happening every single day, right? People are getting jobs without having to go through 4 and 5 rounds of interviews. You want to be one of those people that it happens for.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So with the relationship building, any advice for keeping on top of mind when it comes to the mentor-mentee or sponsor-responsee relationship?
Yeah, I think it has to be authentic. I think it's important to, especially if you are reaching out to a person and saying, hey, I would love for you to be my mentor, that it's an authentic relationship, but that one that you proactively make time for, but also be respectful of the mentor's time. Set the meetings, find out, have some prepared questions, something that lets them know that you value their time, because they're taking away their time to give and impart, advice and insights to you. So when you have those conversations and they give you some advice, follow up on it, follow through with it, so that the next time you sit down, you can tell them, hey, yeah, I listened to what you said and I did this, this, and this. What do you think about this? Or this are the results that I got. It lets them know that their time is valuable, that the time that they're giving you is not a waste, that it matters, and that you're actually using the information. But to the so I think, as I said before, it definitely should be an authentic relationship. If you're not getting the sense that the mentor really has the time or wants to really, be bothered, for lack of a better phrase, that's okay, because there's somebody that is. And there are some people that you would naturally have a relationship with that you may not. Not that the mentor has to be your best friend or somebody that looks just like you. And I think that's where sometimes we can get afraid, is that, well, they don't look like me, so I don't know if they'd want to be bothered. Or they don't look like me, so I don't know if they'd be interested in supporting or helping me or giving me advice. Those are all assumptions. And until you've tested it and proven it, you don't know. So reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for some advice. I'm looking for help or guidance in this area. And I would love to get your insight. Would you mind meeting me for coffee, or having right now a virtual conversation? And you can kind of get the vibes from there and say, hey, do you mind if I reach out to you again? However that looks like, and say, hey, I'm looking for some mentors, some people that can kind of help me move along. I don't know it all and I want to learn. and they'll let you know, hey, sure, feel free. And then from there, you develop that. But I think the biggest thing is for it to be authentic, but to also to not just pick people because they look like you. Although sometimes that can be helpful, but know that sometimes because they look like you, it doesn't mean that they're going to help you. Doesn't mean they're going to have time for you. You should go where you're appreciated and supported, and not just based on comfort. And then from there, make sure you take the advice and actually follow through with it. And 3, I would say maybe join organizations so that, again, you don't just get mentors just inside your organization. I think it's so important to have people that you can talk to both inside and outside, because you can have different conversations, right? You can be maybe a little more honest about some things with someone outside your organization, for example. Or they can provide opportunities or exposure to opportunities and things because they aren't inside your organization. You kind of want to have a couple bases, if you will, covered.
I love it. Definitely got to keep those bases covered, and especially with hard truth that you dropped there of making sure that you're not only going for mentors that always look like you, because at the end of the day, we're connecting with people all over the globe now more than ever, and you got to have that crossover appeal and making sure you authentically want to connect with as many people that can help you as possible, and vice versa. So since this is far from your first ever rodeo, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're being on interviews and podcasts and such?
I mean, I've been asked a variety of questions. I can't say there's one that I wish would be asked more than others. I think it's just important oftentimes to share the why. A lot of people, to why is this an important topic to the person that's talking about it? What's their experience with it? What's their insight? So I think that's probably the one question that I always appreciate answering, because it really helps a person gain perspective on the experience, the challenges, and the growth, and the expertise, essentially, in the reason why I talk about what I talk about.
Yeah. There we go. That's right. That powerful why. That powerful why indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So with your powerful why, what is it that keeps you going?
What keeps me going is knowing that there are women out there today, because I talk to them, that even though they may have the title or they may have the external face that leads you to believe that they are fully confident, or they might have a certain level of success, that in fact they too struggle with self-doubt. And oftentimes it's not talked about. It's not pretty to talk about self-doubt. It's not pretty to talk about a lack of confidence. In the world that we live in today, we show the highlight reels, right? We show the highlight reels of our success. We post on social media, both professional social media, aka LinkedIn, as well as our own personal pages of all the great things that we are doing. We don't always talk about the fact that we don't really know if we're good enough for what we really want, or we have those moments of fear and doubt. We don't always talk about those things as women. And so I just believe that what isn't addressed will continue to limit us. And so it's important for me to help every woman, regardless of what her goals are, to really understand that she can go after them, that it's her responsibility to do so, and that she can in fact command what's rightfully hers in her life. And when I get the messages from women, when I'm sharing this message, or across social media or different panels that I might be on, or speaking about it, and I hear, get the messages and they're saying, yes, that's me, and I've been there, and I'm there, and I struggle with this, and here's the why. It lets me know that I'm not just talking about something that's irrelevant. It lets me know that I'm talking about something that's very relevant and much needed. So that's always a good feeling.
Oh, I bet indeed. Getting to empowering the ladies to find their inner Wonder Woman. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Sweet. So, coming down to the question here that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2020, with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
The advice that I would give my 25-year-old self is just trust you. Trust your abilities. And you're smarter than you think. You're worth more than you know. And lose the fear to the point to at least to the point in which you can go after what's really important to you. They're not smarter than, better than, bigger than you, whatever you fill in the blank about you, but they're not, you just think they are. But own who you are today, own your voice, and let the power that was given to you in the inside of you, let it shine. Let that thunder out, right? Let that courage out. And it's okay. You can do it.
Ah, yeah, that's right. You don't need Thor, y'all. Let the thunder out. That's what I'm talking about.
That's
That's
right. Let
right.
it out.
That's right. Even play some 80s rock music and just shout it out. Let it all out. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Definitely solid advice right there. Definitely don't hold back your greatness at all because folks need to see it. And if folks hate on it, that's their problem. So, for those who want to keep in touch with the Mighty V herself and pick up some magical copies of your super special, awesome new book, you're absolutely worth it because folks know that they're absolutely worth it. What's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Sure. So the first way is, as you mentioned, to grab a copy of my book. You're absolutely worth it. Release self-doubt, embrace confidence, and own your yes, ladies. And you can grab that on Amazon. And I've actually got pre-orders available on my website, VeleraWilson.com, VELERA, Wilson.com. And I've created a lot of pre-order offers just because I really want women to be able to win in so many ways. And then, of course, you can follow me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at A Positive ID. That's A Positive ID.
Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it, folks. A positive ID, folks. Head over to Valera's wonderful website, that wonderful, magical website. Change your life. Pick up all sorts of bonuses. And there's going to be an audiobook version too, right?
Not just yet, but eventually. It is available in the Kindle and paperback right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Got to get that voice out there and they so they can hear you too. That's right. They can go to sleep hearing you in a good way. Well, any parting words for the folks still listening?
Yes. So thank you again to Dom and to all your listeners. I appreciate you having me. And I would just close by saying to any woman who has, you know, big hopes and dreams, but seemingly bigger doubts and fears at times, know that you are more than enough for what you want. That regardless of where you've come from, what you've experienced, what you've done, it doesn't disqualify you for the beautiful, big, and bold purpose and plans for your life because you are absolutely worth it.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation.